So yeah, we're gonna go over a few things. Just for those, a lot of folks are coming today and they're here for the first membership meeting or advocacy committee meeting. And just a few things, I won't take too long going over this, but it's important that individuals who are joining our meetings understand like our mission, our vision, and what we stand for, what we do. So I'll read it briefly, and if you have questions, feel free to ask me, type them in the chat. So Out for Justice is an organization. We're comprised of individuals who are both directly and indirectly impacted by the criminal legal system, and we're advocating for the reform of policies and practices that adversely affect successful reintegration into society. And so that basically means that most people in today's world, unfortunately, are going to be impacted by the criminal legal system in some way. And so we want to focus on how can we change things so that this oppressive system that disproportionately affects us is, dismantled in the way that we currently understand it or know it. We do this through our 3 E's. We engage individuals. So we are in the community, we are talking to anyone we come in contact with and making sure that we just continue to stay connected, right? So we engage individuals currently outside on this side and also behind the walls. We educate individuals and we educate ourselves so we can continue that process. And then by doing that, the goal is to be able to empower individuals who may not be currently using their voice, but and also empower them to use their voice for further change. Just a quick overview of our 4 programs. I'm going to start with the legislative advocacy first. Our legislative advocacy program is the one that we're currently more focused on right now through the months of January through April, since it's the Maryland General Legislative Session or General Assembly. And so through this program, we are working with our partners and advocating for the repeal or introducing new laws that will allow individuals that we care about in our membership and our community to have the best quality of life. And so there are a lot of laws on the books that sort of hinder that from happening, especially if you've had some contact with the legal system. And so that's our purpose. We want to change the laws that are impacting us negatively. Voting is a big part of that, making sure that individuals know that they have the right to vote, making sure that we can change laws that prohibit that. And so registering to vote and actively voting is one way to be civically engaged and also to be a part of this legislative process as well. The bail and legal, that's our 3rd program. And so we understand that individuals and our, I won't say individuals, but when we get in contact with the legal system, that might require the release facilitation of someone through bail or some other means. And so not everything is always a bail, but bail is a big thing. And so we say bail or release facilitation to make sure that folks do not have to stay one day behind the walls. And so at the same time, once we get them released, we want them to be able to be engaged in the process of preparing for any legal cases that they have. And that's where the legal support and education around legal navigation of their case comes in. And then at the same time, and we know that folks need support, that wraparound support today, immediately. So, I need this today, can't wait for, a couple of weeks. And so we provide resources in-house. With the ones that we don't have in-house, we connect individuals to those resources. And those resources can look like mental health, drug treatment, it can look like mentorship, a number of different things, jobs and education opportunities. So those are our 4 programs, and you can find out a lot more on our website. Go to the next slide, please. So we don't have the full team here. Some folks are traveling to a conference focused on voting. The EJI retreat that's in Atlanta starts this evening and goes through Friday. And so some of our members are not here. Nicole Hanson Mandel is our executive director. She's one of those that I mentioned is traveling. Myself is DeWine. Sorry, you can't see me right now, but DeWine Burton, I am the Chief of Operations for Out for Justice. And we have one more member who's not here, which is MJ. She's our rapid response and resource connection, our coordinator for that program. And we have Jonathan, who is physically here. I don't know, is the camera on, Jonathan?
No, camera's not.
No. Jonathan is here, and he is our tech specialist. He is here to help individuals who need support in various different technologies, training on resumes. He's very resourceful, and for most things, he's the person that can help you to figure it out. So that's Jonathan. And we have a couple members in-house. So I don't want to spend too much time on that, but just wanted to let you guys know who was here. I'll go to the next slide. I'm gonna come. Is Ashley on the line? I'm not here. Let me see who's in. I don't see her online, so we'll maybe come back to this slide. Can we skip to? Yeah. So let's play. Is the video embedded here? Okay. Hear me without echo? I'm good? Okay. All right, so not looking too hot today, but I wanted to play the video that sort of highlights the celebration that we had on December 30th last year, at the end of the year, that was commemorating our 10-year anniversary of being an official nonprofit here at Out for Justice. And so what we did is, in the beginning, in the daytime, so from 12 to 4, we had a mock interactive legislative session. So we had legislators, we had members, we had community partners, and we engaged using our real life policy agenda for 2023, using issues that we care and we know our members care deeply about, and utilizing those issues. We basically went through what it looks like when you're putting forth policy to be passed, or and what it looks like when you have a senator or a legislator who opposes the policy that you feel passionately about. And so we had, I think, 5 senators and legislators, and we had I'd say over 40 members. And so it was a really impactful way for folks to really get engaged and understand all of the issues deeply, converse amongst themselves. We have breakout groups so folks can focus on individual topics and delve deeper into those. And then present, oral testimony, right? And so before even presenting the oral testimony, you're meeting with your legislators separately so that you can brief them on the talking points and all the things that are important for them to bring up when they're in front of their committee peers. And so it was really impactful, it was really insightful, it was really educational, and the space that we had I think was really beneficial by being able to use different spaces for different meetings. So the general assembly was held in one space, meetings with senators were held in a different space, and the breakout groups were held in a different space. And so that was the first time we did it that way. And the feedback was great, but I wanted to highlight the video, and you can find it on our YouTube page as well. And then it goes into the evening part, which was our award ceremony and fundraising gala. So we were able to honor our members, some of our partners, and some leaders in the community, as well as in Out for Justice, that of all of the work that they have done and the success and achievements that they have accomplished this year particularly, but also in honoring those over the past 10 years. And so that was the fundraising gala. And, we had a good time. We had the party and really celebrate all of the hard work that all of the individuals in our membership and our partners and our community have really worked really hard. So.
Number 1, put God first. Put God first in everything you do. Everything that you think you see in me, everything that I've accomplished, everything that you think I have, and I have a few things, everything that I have is by the grace of God. Understand that. It's a gift. 40 years ago, March 27th, 1975, it was 40 years ago, just this past March, I was flunking out of college. I had a 1.7 grade point average. I hope none of you can relate. I had a 1.7 grade point average. I was sitting in my mother's beauty shop. They still call it beauty shops now? What they call it now? Yeah, I was sitting in the beauty parlor. I was sitting in my mother's beauty parlor, and I'm looking in the mirror, and I see behind me this woman under the dryer. And every time she looked up, every time I looked up, she was looking at me, just looking me in the eye. And I didn't know who she was, and I said, she said, somebody give me a pen, give me a pencil, I have a prophecy. March 27, 1975, she said, boy, you are gonna travel the world and speak to millions of people. Now mind you, I was flunked out of college. I'm thinking about joining the army. I didn't know what I was gonna do, and she's telling me I'm gonna travel the world.
You make me happy. This you can bear. You split right beside me, yeah, and I won't forget. And I really love you. You should know. I wanna make sure I'm right, boy, before I let go. Yeah. Now we had a good time that we can say we hurted each other, yeah. And boy, it's a shame. I won't be foolish, no. I wanna know. I wanna make sure I'm right, boy, before I let go. You know I thank God sun rises and shines on you. You know there's nothing I would not do. Oh, before I let you go.
All right, good evening, everyone. So we just wanted to get your feedback on the gala if you were there. So with the first question, question number one, members in attendance on December 30th, how was your experience participating in the MGA live workshop? And for the second question, members not in attendance, what would you like to learn about the legislative process? So if you guys could answer those two questions for us, we would greatly appreciate it.
So I'd like to take this time now to introduce our new policy advocate, Ashley Devon Johnson, so she can talk about herself, her expertise, and most importantly, our 2023 policy agenda.
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Ashley Devon Johnson, and I'm so excited to be joining the OFJ family. OFJ, I have admired the work of OFJ for many years, and I am very thankful that I've had the opportunity to work with OFJ. I'm formerly the Youth Justice Policy Director with Advocacy for Children and Youth. And in that role, I chair the Maryland Youth Justice Coalition, which is one of the coalitions that OFJ is a member of, and also just done a tremendous amount of work around some things. I am a former educator. I have worked in the classroom and been a school administrator. I live in Baltimore City. I have a background in public policy And I love doing legislative work. And so that's just a little bit about me. I'm really excited to be on this side of legislation because I think that you all have an incredible voice to be able to push and demand what the community wants and be able to keep the directly impacted folks' voices front and center. And as a woman of color and someone who has been impacted by the justice system, to me, there's just no other place to be. I want to talk a little bit about the legislative strategy this year. This year, OFJ is going to be taking a defensive strategy. In the we know since 2019 to now, a lot of legislation has passed, a lot of progressive legislation has passed, and we are starting to see that some dangerous legislation be introduced. And so we're going to be on the front lines, making sure that nothing gets rolled back. Also, there's going to be a lot of focus on the budgetary process, kind of understanding what happened with the Women's Pre-Release Center and making sure that that is in the budget, making sure that this is something that is prioritized. It's going to be a new area for OFJ in how we monitor. I mean, nothing is new for OFJ, but this will be a new focus area with the budget monitoring. And I want to say we kicked off this week with the big bang. Nicole, in all of her glory, testified on 4 different bills yesterday. Two of those bills were by Delegate Acevedo, and one was to make sure that no Maryland police could become police officers if they were members of conflict organizations such as the KKK or white supremacist-based organizations. Delegate Acevedo also put in a no-knock warrant bill that would stop no-knock warrants or limit them, and she testified in support of that. And then there is the correctional ombudsman role that has been a continuous area of effort and advocacy to make sure that there's one office and one person dealing with the concerns that are coming into that a lot of our people are facing behind the wall. And then she also testified in support of medical parole for life imprisonment. And yesterday there was also a briefing by the Department of Juvenile Services. And next week there will be a briefing by the Department of the Adult System, and the new secretary will be there. And the advocates are very focused on making sure that the budget is the things that were agreed upon with the last secretary and last powers to be are still put in this upcoming budget. We are aware of what the budget process will be, and that nothing that we have advocated for in the past is removed from the budget. So that is a very quick synopsis. On next week, I will have a full bill list and tracker so that you can see the bills that we are listing and that we are following. But today, I'm just happy to be here and to learn more about what you all expect to see in these meetings on Wednesday and what your expectations are of me.
Hi, everyone. We're just trying to get our next presenter connected. We're having some technical difficulties. So Ashley, if you want to go over some of those while we're waiting, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for putting up the House bills. So these are the bills that Nicole testified on yesterday, and I kind of shared those. I'm also putting the MBGA link in the chat so that you are able, if you would like to read those bills. And I think the only bill that I did not talk about was HB 154, and that is the bill to study the fines, fees, and costs legislation that is put forth, or the fines, fees, and costs that many individuals encounter in the justice system. I think that this bill has a wonderful opportunity of passing, and I think that this is going to be one of those bills in which we're going to need a lot of support, or perhaps some support from OFJ members to talk about some of the things that they've experienced as pertains to the debt burdens that they have been left with. I was able to kind of work on the fines and fees legislation that passed to stop the way in which youth were being charged additional fines and fees and the costs and burdens it was put on the parents. And I think that there is a national push to make sure that we are not having hardship due to the most impacted individuals by the justice system. And I think that is the only bill that I did not talk about. Are there any particular questions about the legislation that is up on your screen? Are there any particular areas of concerns or things that you all are interested in hearing more about? I just want to make sure that I am not rambling and providing the necessary relevant information.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Fisher Hickman. I like the fact that you have put up the various different bills that are on the floor right now. I'm concerned, and this is from my own organizational point of view, for those who are formerly incarcerated now in college, and how the student affair and student handbook policies may hinder their and retain their matriculation and ultimately graduation. Does this organization work with that kind of issues? And if so, can I talk to someone about that offline? Thank you.
So I think there's no hard and fast answer to that particular question, because we do know that there is no universal handbook or regulation. Each school has autonomy to create their own rules and regulations, but I think that a conversation about what the concerns are here would be great. You know, during COVID, we saw a lot of run-ins with campus police and other things, and so I would be interested in learning more about what those concerns are. And so if you would like, I can put my email in the chat and we can have a conversation about that. But that will not be a larger state legislative push, just because of the way in which the collegiate level does their student behavior code.
Sure. Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Can you put your email address in the chat, please?
Yes, my name is Tyrone Porter. Is there any legislation House bills currently or coming up to help cause people who have nonviolent crimes get expungements off their record after a certain amount of years?
So OFJ has done a tremendous amount of work around expungement, and currently OFJ is holding expungement workshops, I want to say monthly at this particular point. If you are interested in the expungement process and getting things expunged off your record, I'm thinking that, and pivoting to Dewan, perhaps there's a separate resource that we can connect you with that deals with kind of what the expungement support is, and what this expungement support is. And if you are familiar with the OFJ expungement support, and
Ashley, sorry, I just wanted to, yes, if you're a member of Out for Justice, we have bi-monthly expungement clinics and legal clinics. And so if it's just about your personal expungement, then yes, you can email us at GetInfo and set up an appointment so we can go through the process of becoming a member so that you qualify to get those benefits. But separately, if you're concerned about the legislation piece, and to me, they go hand in hand. So if you're facing an issue, the goal at Out for Justice is to create tangible change that is long lasting. So if something affects you, if you use your voice and you advocate for that, you now pave the way for other folks not to have to go through that same thing. So expungement is a huge thing. It's definitely one of the things that we are focused on this particular session. So my suggestion to you is become a member if you're not already a member. Also sign up for our newsletter so you can see all the things that are happening Out for Justice. But more importantly, if you can contact me really today, because we have a couple of opportunities for you to use your voice and advocate for changes, specifically around the waiting period for expungements. And so I know that's one of the things that cdews is going to talk about, so I don't want to steal his thunder. But I hope I answered the question, but I did want to say that we do have in-house resources for expungements and other legal navigation tools. So stay connected to Out for Justice and email if you have any questions and I'll put the email address in the chat. I'm sorry, Ashley, did you have something else that you wanted to add? But I just wanted to say we did have that resource in-house.
No, thank you. That was my question, because there are two different issues. There is major legislation coming that is going to deal with the expungement component, but if you are personally looking for resources for expungement, I wanted to make sure I did not answer that question wrong. And I know that Chris is going to handle expungement legislation in his presentation, so I'm going to go back on mute. Thank you, Dewan.
Is Chris here? Can you ask Ashley if she was able to? I don't know if Chris was able to get in. He seems to be having an issue. Were you able to send him the link? Ashley?
Yes, I texted him. Oh, Me, Ashley?
Yes.
Yes, I texted him the link. I will call. Let me follow back up with him.
The only why I asked that question is because I went through the expungement process before, and I was denied the expungement. So I wanted to know, like, what's the route that I can go now to get it done? Because it's been like over 20 years.
So yeah, my what I would say is to schedule an appointment to come into the office so we can take a look at your case, what the charges are, and identify what is the current the current laws on the books that around that particular expungement, and at the same time utilizing that as an opportunity to showcase the collateral consequences of not being able to expunge a record, especially for something that is 20 years plus old. So there are a couple of things, and I would say after this meeting, make sure you email me. That's the first thing, and then we can go from there. And hopefully that's helpful for you. And we can definitely talk more about it offline. But I do want to get switch gears to MJ. I think she has some updates that she wants to share.
Greetings, everyone from Atlanta. How are you? We are here for the Electoral Project retreat. This is the first time since 2019 that they've been able to do this retreat in person, and it's all about being intentional about voting strategies. So we're going to delve deep into strategic electoral ideas, as well as corporate accountability and preemptiveness. And we're just about to jump into the welcome dinner. So Nicole, William Freeman, Bakari, Kiana from Life After Release, Ray Kelly will be joining tomorrow from Citizens Policing Project. We are all here just to gain everything that we can and bring it back to you guys. I do see Mr. Dews is here. Does anyone have any questions for me? Okay, all right, guys. Well, I have to jump off. I'm so sorry to leave so quickly, but I wish you guys all the best. You're about to hear a great presentation from Mr. Christopher Dews regarding expungement. So I will see you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Yep. Can you all hear me? Let's start with that. Let's see if I can even see your faces. Let's see, gallery. There we go. Let's see. Hey, nod your, I see. Nod your head if you can hear me. You can hear me, right? Good, all right. So let's go ahead and get into this. So I'm Christopher Dews. I am now the Assistant Vice President of Cornerstone Government Affairs, but I'm also formerly with the Job Opportunities Task Force. My mission has always been eliminating barriers to employment for workers all throughout Maryland, but primarily in the city of Baltimore. That's because I used to be a part of a group called Civic Works. You guys might be familiar with their training program. I used to run their training program. We used to train people in solar paneling, weatherizing homes, lead asbestos, and stuff like that. So just I'm saying this so you guys have a background of who you're talking to. After I left that training program, well, while I was in it, I noticed that a variety of different people, wouldn't matter if we got them trained and tried to get them a job, a bunch of things would hit them when they would try to secure that place of employment. So biggest one was a criminal record. We got you a job, and then 2 weeks later, you know, a letter was given to you, or the boss says, hey man, can I talk to you for a minute, or whatever like that. And then this individual was then removed from that place of employment. That's what gave me a passion for criminal record expungement. That's the first thing. When it came to securing employment, only 9% of the jobs in the Baltimore region could be reached within 1 hour, one way, by public transit. And we were training people in environmental construction, which means that they would need a car, a license, valid license, and auto insurance to get to the place of employment. Then I discovered that whereas in Glen Burnie, where I was living at, I was paying $125 a month in auto insurance, my trainees, as they were graduating, were being charged $325 a month because of their zip code and their credit history. So I pursued legislation in Annapolis to get rid of the use of zip codes and credit history and lower the cost of auto insurance. And the last one was that 90% of the guys, because it was mostly males, that came into my training program had a license that was suspended for child support, mostly because they were formerly incarcerated. So if you miss 2 months of child support payments, what happens is they suspend your driver's license. Whether you are incarcerated or not, which was a huge problem. Because now when I'm trying to place somebody at a place of employment, they can't get there because their license is suspended. And then they tell you, well, if you just pay up on your child support, you can then get your license unsuspended and you can get the job. My problem was they just started the job. So how are they going to get to the job to get the money to pay the child support? Didn't make any sense to me. So one of the bills that I'm also pushing this legislative session has to do with the elimination of license suspensions for lower income child support obligors. So that's my general overview. If I had to have a passion, it's just that I want people to go to work. It's my crime fighting strategy. You can have programs, you can do this, you can do that. But, and this is something I learned from my former boss, Karen York, a good friend of Nicole Hansen's. If you do not change the laws, you don't make progress. You can sit there and push actively that people should not believe in slavery. But until you have an Emancipation Proclamation, you haven't really made any progress. And if you ever notice when it comes to legislation, the war did not come. I'm not even going to go there. I'm on my soapbox. Bottom line is it's about changing the laws on the ground. Because one of the things I discovered in all these training programs, 90% of the individuals, if not more, 95% in most states, are African American, despite the racial makeup of the state. So the state could be primarily white, but the individuals in our training programs tend to be primarily African American. And I don't think that that's by happenstance. So until you start to change some of these laws, we're not going to make any progress. So I don't have control over this slide, but whatever the next slide is, I'm assuming it's where I start to share screen. Oh, great. Yeah, let me go ahead and share screen. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over with each of you the bills that I have that, are on the topics that I've just discussed. I'm going to put a link to each of them in the chat because along with me telling you about these specific pieces of legislation, there's also going to be a way that you can testify on the bill, you can sign on to our sign-on letter, or you directly can tell the committee members of the committees that control these pieces of legislation basically that you care about the issue that it's important to. So the first bill I'm going to address is one called the Redeem Act, the Redeem Act. So I'm going to share my screen. Let's see if I have the share screen right. Who's the host of this? I want to say it's probably MJ or Dewan. Can somebody give me the power to share screen? Go ahead, Dewan. It's still saying host disabled.
Share, you can share.
Okay, still not working. Let me just put it in the chat. Hold on 1 second.
Can you try again now?
This will start screen share. Do you want to continue? Yes. Bingo. Thank you. Works like a charm. All right, get that out of the way. You can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. So it should say something regarding the Redeem Act. Now, of course, I can't see you, but you guys can see me. So we have a bill. It's actually Senate Bill 37, House Bill 97. Bill sponsored by Senator Jeff Wallstreicher from Montgomery County and Delegate Sandy Bartlett, that's the House and the Senate, from Anne Arundel County. And this bill is simply called the Redeem Act. And what this bill does, let me see. There we go. And what this bill simply does is it will reduce the expungement waiting periods for charges related to convictions. In a nutshell, the way that Maryland laws work is once you obtain a felony or a misdemeanor, if the charge is even eligible for criminal record expungement, and to be clear, an expungement is the total obliteration of the record, making it as if it had never happened. So once you have finished, the way Maryland law works, once you have finished your entire sentence, including parole and probation, as well as mandatory supervision, once you've gotten past all of that, then if you have a misdemeanor that is eligible for expungement, you must wait an additional 10 years before you can get that charge expunged. So let's say you did community service, but it was a theft charge and the theft charge was a misdemeanor. So you didn't even do any time. After you have finished your community service, you must then wait 10 years before you can get that charge expunged. If it's a non-violent felony, which is like what, there's only 6 of them right now in code, the 4 degrees of burglary, CDS possession and distribution, as well as theft over $1,000, then you have to wait after you have done your sentence, parole, and probation. You then must wait 15 years before you can get that charge expunged. Now, we call it the street sentence because you already did your time inside. Now you have to do your time outside. And for us, if you have a record, it reduces your access to employment, housing, licensing, financial education. I just spoke about this on a bill hearing today. So my point is that it's a massive barrier to employment and it's a massive barrier to reentry. So what our bill simply does, the REDEEM Act, what it simply does is it reduces that waiting period for misdemeanors down from 10 years to 3 years, from nonviolent felonies down from 15 years to 5 years, which is in line with what Colorado and Kansas and a variety of other states have already done. Maryland is ranked 42nd in expungement period length, which means out of the 50 states, we're number 42 in our lengths, which means we are like the longest state. We have people wait the longest when it comes to expungements. When it comes to second-degree assault and common law battery, we want to bring that down right now from 15 years to 5. It's that simple. That's the bill. If you guys are interested in supporting the REDEEM Act, all you have to do, and all of the links that I'm going to put in the chat are going to have this section that says how to support, and all you have to do is either click to sign your name onto JOTF sign-on letter, click that, and that will appear. You can fill out your own testimony. So if you have a story that you want to tell, you can talk to MJ, you can talk to myself, you can talk to whoever, and we will help draft your story for you so you can submit about this issue. And lastly, I have left the links to all of the emails for the House and the Senate members who control whether or not this bill gets passed. All you would have to do, for example, is copy, click the link, and then paste. Let's see, make sure you guys can still see this. Whoop, 1 second, and boom. So when you click the link that says take action, automatically the email is already drafted for you. You would just have to click on the 2, hit the paste button, and all the legislators' emails will appear. Then you just have to hit send. So if criminal record expungements is something that is of vital importance to you, then I would suggest that you do the world a favor, because we love you. I suggest that you do the world a favor and sign up, fill out the information for this and jump in on it. The next 2 bills are really, really quick. So I'll just jump right into those. One of them is, oh, that's a different one. Hold on 1 second. Let me pull up the right one. Hold on 1 second. Let me stop screen share. That's the first bill. Let me put a link to that one in the chat, and then I will move on to bill number 2. The second bill is also expungement related. What this bill is it looks at non-convictions. So it looks at when an individual is not found guilty of a charge, what happens to it. So the way that current law works is that if you decide to waive your right to sue, then automatically you will have access to an immediate expungement, basically. So if you're non-convicted, which we're talking about acquittals, dismissals, and no pros, right? When you are not found guilty, that charge still exists. It still exists on public record for a minimum of 3 years. So you weren't found guilty, but it's still public. And if it's still public, employers, schools, banks, occupational licensing boards can all see that charge. Now, if they're like myself and don't understand the criminal justice system, at least when I was in workforce development, if they don't know what they're looking at, they're going to see a rap sheet God long, but they're not going to understand that all those charges were acquitted or dismissed. They don't see those things. This happened to me when I was running the training program, where individuals would come in and they have like a rap sheet of 17 different charges, but I didn't know that all of them were dismissed or acquitted or no pros, or they were a step or a probation before judgment. My point is that these things can and will be used against you, and many people do not seek to have a non-conviction expunged because in their mind, they believe that they beat the charge, therefore they're scot-free. And that's not how our state laws work. You may have beaten the charge, but it's still visible to the public for 3 years. Now, if you waive your right to sue, you can have it expunged immediately. But then think about that statement. You have to waive your right to sue. So if you were unjustly thrown into a cop car, or they treated you like they did Freddie Gray, then you would have lost your ability to sue the individuals for doing something like that to you. So this bill, all it simply does is removes the charge from public view. That's simple. It's a non-convictions bill, removes the charge from public view. Only people that can view it is actually the courts. And so that way they can use it for when, when you have to do whatever you need to do with the courts. But nobody else except for the courts who led to that proceeding can have access to that proceeding. So it's about shielding the world from non-conviction. So I'm going to put that one in the chat. Just like the first bill, you will find that in the bottom list, there's a section that says how to support. We have a sign-on letter, sample template, and Baltimore County government. Oh, that's not good. Sign-on letter, and once again, the links to all of the different individuals that were responsible for the bill. Click take action, same process. C'est la vie, c'est la va. The third bill, still with expungements, is called good cause expungement. Now this one's a more interesting bill. You guys may be familiar with something called the unit rule. The unit rule says that if I get picked up at one time, and let's say there's 3 charges, the cops hit me with 3 charges, and I'm only found guilty of one of those charges, but the other 2 are dropped. The way the unit rule operates is that until that one charge that I was found guilty on is eligible for expungement, the other 3 charges are not eligible for expungement, even if they're non-convictions. Here's where it gets nasty. Suppose I don't know, I got a charge. Let's just say I was, like, again, 3 charges. I was not found guilty on 2 of the charges, but I was found guilty on 1 of the charges. But let's say that charge is not eligible for expungement at all. The way our current state law works, because of the unit rule, those other 2 non-convictions will never be eligible for expungement. It's that simple. So there was a judge in Baltimore County who did not like that rule, specifically because there was a law enforcement officer who got caught up in some mess, and he got hit with a pretty heinous conviction. Not a conviction, he got hit with a pretty heinous charge, but he was not found guilty of it, but he was hit with a misdemeanor. Now, the misdemeanor that he was hit with was eligible for expungement, but after 10 years. And the heinous charge was a non-conviction. So what's the problem? The heinous charge cannot be expunged because of the unit rule. They're together, they happen at the same time, they're part of a unit. That being said, what this judge did was, because it was a law enforcement officer and he knew the law enforcement officer's family, he deleted the entire docket and re-uploaded the docket with just a minor misdemeanor. When Court Watch asked them about this, and they looked into it, and they said, hey, that's not legal. You can't do that. His open response was, look, he wasn't found guilty of the charge, and I don't want this to be held against him as he's trying to secure employment, which is what the advocates have been saying the entire time. So these same judges are the same ones that say, hey, man, we can't do expungement because it's not possible. We can't do this, we can't do that. But when it comes to like allies of theirs and stuff like that, oh, we'll find a way. What the judge did was technically not necessarily legal. And he has said that he's been doing that for 15 years when he's looking out for people because he thinks that certain things should be eligible for expungement. All this bill is going to do, it's called good cause expungement. All this bill does is it grants the courts that power to use judicial discretion when expunging a record. So when a judge says, oh, sorry, it was a violation of probation, violation of parole, whatever like that, oh, it was a technical violation, we know it's stupid, I want to help you get it expunged, but there's nothing I can do, my hands are tied, this bill will remove that argument for them. So now the courts who give you the charges are now the same ones who have the power to remove them or to take them away. That's all the bill does. As of right now, there's no opposition to it because typically when we push expungement bills, the people who oppose are the courts. But this bill literally says that the courts should have power to undo what the courts do. So the courts, if they were to go against us on this bill, would have to say that the courts are not qualified to determine what should be expunged and what shouldn't be, which is an insult to their own, constituency. So that's the third bill. As usual, there is a sign-on letter, sample template, the committee members, and where to take action. Those are the three big expungement bills that I'm pushing. I know I just had a conversation with Serge about the same thing. There is one last bill I wanted to mention, but if you guys have any questions, now will be the time to ask on expungement. If you don't have any questions right now, it's understandable. I'll just move on to the last bill and I will be quiet. Any questions on expungement, the bills, what they do? Hello, Life After Release. We love you guys. You guys are great. All right, last bill is license suspensions for child support. As I mentioned before, when you miss 2 child support payments, what happens is they suspend your driver's license. As I also mentioned, in Maryland, only 9% of the jobs can be reached within 1 hour, one way by public transportation. As I also, maybe I didn't mention this, half of Marylanders drive to another county for employment. So the bottom line is if you don't have a car, license, and affordable auto insurance, you're not going nowhere. So what our bill simply says is that instead of suspending a driver's license, just don't suspend the license. Child support can garnish wages. They can even incarcerate you for purposefully not going to work or impoverishing yourself. So suspending a license is just the most counterproductive way of getting the child support administration to get their money from you. Doesn't make any sense. Now, the way I just framed that was how I've been explaining it to every legislator. They're all for it. This bill passed out of the Senate 46-0 last year and would have passed out of the House unanimously, basically, except for apparently the chair of the committee, who I will no longer be mad at because I found some information today, was hit with some drama and put the bill on freeze. So this year, the bill should have no opposition. However, it's Annapolis, and just because something has no opposition now, if they see that the community doesn't care about this issue or that they're not showing up for it, they're not going to make moves on it. So that being said, this bill says if you make less than $41,000 a year, licenses do not get suspended. Again, sign-on letter, sample testimony, and the members of the committee. All you have to do, click the button and you're good to go. I'm going to put the link to every single one of these bills and how you can support them in the chat. The last issue, now this isn't one of my bills. I'm with Cornerstone Government Affairs, contracted to work with JOTF. But Nicole would kill me if I didn't mention this. And Ashley, you can stop me if I'm stepping into your territory, so I apologize. But there's a women's pre-release center. Let me ask, did Ashley already bring that one up? Hearing none. Bottom line is in 2020, we passed the women's pre-release center. What that bill simply said was there are 9 pre-release centers. A pre-release center is a center that exists prior to you being released from incarceration. It's real simple. They're supposed to help you find employment, housing, get your mind right, your mental right, your body right, so that you can properly reacclimate into society. Well, there's like 8 for men, 1 that's co-ed, and none for women. The one for women, I want to say, was shut down in 2009. So we passed legislation in 2020 to have that Women's Pre-Release Center reestablished. It was a tremendous victory. It was huge, a 3-year fight. And then the bill got vetoed. So in 2021, we beat the veto overwhelmingly at an incredibly high number. The problem was there was $13.5 million allocated to create the Women's Pre-Release Center in 2020. Since the bill got vetoed, and that's a different budgetary year, there was no funding allocated when the veto was overridden in 2021. So in 2022, the fight was to secure funding for the Women's Pre-Release Center. We fought, by we, mostly Monica Cooper from Mountain Justice Project, Kiana Johnson from Life After Release, as well as Nicole Hanson-Lundell, the living legend from Out for Justice. They came together, they fought really hard and lobbied really hard. However, the Appropriations Committee only gave $2 million. Now, it cost $13.5 million. to get the Women's Pre-Release Center up and running. They gave you $2 million. So can you get the center up and running based off of $2 million? No, that's not how math works. That's not how bills work. So we're fighting now. We're pushing on the budgetary side, kind of cutting some deals in the shadows to ensure that the Women's Pre-Release Center is adequately funded. So in a nutshell, that's all the bills. Running through them one last time. 3 expungement bills. 1 to reduce the expungement waiting periods. 1 to shield from public view non-convictions. And the last one to give judges the power to expunge things as they see fit. 4 is preventing licenses from being suspended for child support if you make less than a certain amount of money. I like to get rid of the suspension mechanism altogether, but we're starting low and then working our way up. And lastly, funding for the Women's Pre-Release Center. That is what we are advocating for. Nicole is going to be talking a lot with you guys about these issues, as well as DeJuan and Ashley, but I'm going to put a link to everything that I just said in the chat. Again, I'm Christopher Dews, Assistant Vice President of Cornerstone Government Affairs, working for the Job Opportunities Task Force and Out for Justice. And I thank you guys for listening. Any questions?
Chris, this is Ashley Devon Johnson. I wanted to just respond to you. You asked a great question. And when I talked about what our legislative priorities were, I mentioned that OFJ is going to be, while OFJ is not doing anything new, there will be a lot more focus on the budgetary process this particular year. And next week, there will be a briefing from the adult system. And on March 7th, there will be a budget hearing about that system. And Chris, thank you so much for eloquently walking through the history of the Women's Pre-Release Center and understanding that that did pass and then it was vetoed. And then it was passed again without actual funding for it. And so now with the brand new secretary, the question is, what is the budget process? How will we be notified of the budget process? How much has been allocated to cover the Women's Pre-Release Center? Nicole has a few other questions that she's going to float with friendly legislators. What is the total capital budget? What is the department providing the spending report? Can the findings report be provided from the the consulting company, Falcon Consulting, that did the original findings for this? And then what is also the DGS budget? And so this is an area that will receive a tremendous amount of support. And because there is a hearing tomorrow, we're going to have priorities that are going to be sent out to our legislators, so they can begin asking questions, so that as they talk to the secretary, that none of the OFJ members and the criminal justice community's members are left off, and that this equitable pre-release center is still prioritized. So thank you so much for bringing that full circle.
No, thank you.
Questions about, does anyone have any questions about the pre-release center or the expungement bills that were mentioned? Ask a full question.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah, I can hear you.
This is Kelly from the Sons of Phoenix.
How you doing, Mr. Kelly?
All right. So, what is the time limit? Because I've been waiting over 30 years for expungement, right? So, what is the time limit?
Oh goodness! All right. So this is how the times work. So first and foremost, like I said, Maryland is very retrograde when it comes to expungement. So the biggest problem is that there's about 6,000, maybe I think it's up to 7,000 charges that actually exist in the Maryland State Code. There's a guy in it must have been 2018. His name was Bobby Zirkin. He was the former chair, maybe 2016. He was the former chair of the Judicial Proceedings Committee on the Senate side. When the Justice Reinvestment Act was established, what had happened, and I probably actually could talk in more detail about this because I think she lived through the whole process. But what had happened was Bobby Zirkin himself, one man, decided, because the vast majority of these charges were never eligible for expungement, at all. So you just couldn't get anything expunged. But he went through all 7,000, 6,000 charges and literally picked and chose what should be eligible for expungement. He settled on about maybe 175 things out of 7,000.
Yeah.
So step one is to figure out if your charge is even eligible. I can tell you now, for most people, if it's a crime of violence, which includes arson, first degree assault, carjacking, armed robbery, those kind of things are not even eligible. So it does not matter what you do, it cannot be expunged unless the good cause expungement bill, which was the third bill that I had mentioned, actually passes. If it passes, then that will give judges the power to have that expunged. So to answer your question,
I want to update the timeline. Bobby Zirkin was the chair up until 2020. That was Will Smith's first year. And so Bobby Zirkin, and while Bobby Zirkin was the chair of JPR, you had Luke Clippinger, who was a former state's attorney, as the chair of on the House side. So you had two very conservative, and Zirkin was out of Baltimore County. And so you had two very, very, very conservative individuals in seats making decisions about what was eligible. And there was a blanket broad brush put on everything. If it's anything dealing with, kind of as Chris laid out, nothing passed. The new chair, Will Smith, is not in that same place. And there has been some shakeups to the Judiciary Committee. So I think Chris has laid out staggered bills. One bill that will kind of go back and replace the broad brush, but if it doesn't pass, he has some secondary bills that can begin to start chipping away at this larger issue. And I'm sorry, because Chris, because you explain things a lot better than I do, but I wanted to just let people know that we're only about 2 years out of Bobby Zirkin and his foreshadowing.
No, Ashley's level of depth and understanding on these issues far exceeds mine, because I had just started doing this work in 2020 and she's been in the game for much longer. So no, she's absolutely correct. So this is the year for progress, especially when it comes to expungements. I do want to say this really quickly. Keep in mind that Governor Moore is about reentry. Believe it or not, we had these conversations with him. He showed up to Alfred Justice's all-night community resource clinic, and he's very close with Fagan Harris. That does not mean that he's going to do anything on these issues, but in fact, he might, because he's been having conversations. His staff has been having conversations with me about what can he do through executive order when it comes to criminal record expungements. I've already sent him all these bills, and I believe Nicole was actually on his transition team talking about these issues as well. So this could be a great year for expungement, or a great 4 years for expungement. But to answer your question again, Mr. Sparks, I do apologize for the delay, is that if it's not eligible for expungement, then there's nothing you can do. You'll just be forever lost in the wind. This is how it is right now. But if it is eligible for expungement, if it's a nonviolent felony, which is, like I said, 6 charges, then you'd have to wait 15 years after you finish parole and probation and supervision to get that expunged. If it is a misdemeanor, that's 10 years.
Repeat that one more time, Chris. Repeat that one more time.
You said 15 years after you get off parole and probation?
Yes.
15 years after you get off parole and probation. And that's if the felony is even eligible for expungement. 15 years. So we're not talking about from the time you got the charge and when you were incarcerated. We're talking post-incarceration. So if you got released in 2010, you'd have to wait after you're released.
25,
you got it. And if it's a misdemeanor, let's say you did a year, let's say you did a whatever, you got locked up today, you were inside for a year for some misdemeanor, you're out in 2024. You have to wait till 2034 to get that charge expunged. That's what our current laws say. So like I said, if the Redeem Act passes, then that would drop from 10 years down to 3. So instead of waiting till 2034, you'd wait till 2027. And that's because that's what other states have done. And we always, when it comes to policy, we look at what other states have done and what they've passed so we can make progress on our end. Now, when it comes to timeline on these bills, we have a bill hearing for the expungement waiting periods, reducing that. That's next week. But next Thursday, February the 2nd, is a bill hearing for the good cause expungement, which is judicial discretion, the reducing the waiting periods, Redeem Act, and the license suspension bill, all at the same time, February the 2nd at 1 o'clock here in Annapolis. So I would love it if anybody here who has experienced these things could come out and testify. Mr. Sparks, I would love to talk to you about this as well, but I'll hit you up offline.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the agenda or strategic plan, especially for support good cause, if the courts agree and the bill goes through and the court say yes? we will have the discretion to then do the expungements. What's their strategic plan behind to making sure that they're still not just picking and choosing at will, but it is a mandatory or a stated process as to how they go about doing this, so folk are still not left in the shadows of trying to get reasonable expungements?
Doc, that's an exceptional question. So, I'll give you the direct answer. The direct answer is having a conversation with Clippinger about this tomorrow. So the direct answer is it's now in law and the way laws work. The second it gets implemented, which I believe our implementation date is October the 1st of 2023. So on October the 1st of 2023, it will then be state law. If this bill passes, it will then be state law that a judge for any reason, a court for any reason, can expunge any record as they see fit. So now that it's state law, it's on advocates like ourselves to promote that issue. We're already having conversations with people that are pushing this bill with me. I'm going to answer your question. Maryland Legal Aid, Maryland Volunteer Lawyer Service, Office of the Public Defender, they are my chief defenders on this issue. And they're also the people who kind of handle a lot of my legal clinics. So they will be working with judges, especially Office of the Public Defender's Office, to alert them that now this issue is live. It's also on places like Out for Justice and Court Watch, Prince George's County, to alert judges to this issue as well. That's the advocacy side. But I'm trying to think who the legislative guy is for the courts. It's not John Morrissey. It's a different person. I want to say it's the states. Anyway, bottom line is once it's in law, every year there's a briefing on laws that have been passed because judges need to be up to date. So when the judges hear about this, they will then know about it. But I want to be clear, it's not like an implementation process like the Women's Pre-Release Center would be. We have to set up a strategic plan. Year 1, we do this. Year 2, we do this. Year 3, this will be constructed. It's just a change in the law. So, like I said, judges they've already done this judicial discretion before, so they would just have that power back. Now the question, so there's no real direct implementation steps because it's just a change in the law. If I can answer the question, Doc, does that make sense?
It makes sense, but I just want to warrant that it's not subjective, that it's still not keeping the folks who really do need the expungement still left out on the cold. But I understand what you're saying. So we don't have to go through it.
I actually want to agree with you on this. Every bill that I've talked about tonight, let me be very clear about something, has been workshopped to death. Okay. I did not choose these bills the way Annapolis. You would think that because something makes sense, like common sense, that in Annapolis, they would take it seriously. It's not how it works. The way Annapolis works is, can everybody agree? So the thing is, I chose these specific bills because these are things that they can agree on. And the way that we're rolling with the good cause bill is it's not even about the judges, it's a litigation strategy. So when we have our community lawyers like Baltimore Action Legal Team, they now have ammunition that they can say, hey, judge, you can get this for my client. You can get this expunged. You have that power now. The problem is we didn't want to force the judges to expunge it, because when we try to force the judges to do anything, they come out violently against the bill. And the way that we've strategically planned this legislative piece now is that if they were to violently come out against this bill like they normally would do on expungements, they would have to literally argue that we as judges do not deserve the right to determine whether or not the charges that we give people, that we should be able to expunge them. So
I got it. It's a dual head. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Answer to a short question. Thank you. Any other questions? All right, hearing none, I'm going to pass it back to Ashley and Dewan. Again, I thank you guys for taking the time.
So yeah, this is a few updates on schedules and upcoming events for Out for Justice. Participatory defense, the community PG, is the hub that Out for Justice use to support and to ensure that our members who have open legal cases or even cases who are post-sentencing are engaged in the process of advocating and being educated around the legal process. And so we use PD and we support our members in educating them around their legal cases. And so these are the next dates. The new schedule is we are meeting every Thursday. Previously it was every other Thursday, but now we're meeting every Thursday. The only Thursday we won't be meeting is the one that precedes the first Saturday, which is an in-person social bio meeting. So hopefully that's not confusing, but basically every Thursday except for the one that is following the first, or preceding the first Saturday. So these meetings that are PD are virtual. You can join via Zoom, and the Saturday meetings are in person. So, and I'm gonna ask that, I think Zoom's online, or Tiana, if you can drop the link for registering or completing the onboarding form or the Zoom link in the chat. I'm sorry that it's not.
I got you.
Yeah, so MJ, I think she had to jump off, but for next month, February, we're going to celebrate healthy hearts and happiness. And so we're putting together a really great event to showcase and to promote self-care, love, empowerment through making sure that we are healthy, not just physically, mentally, all of the above. And so stay connected to our Out for Justice social media sites to find out more information about that. And so we want to give opportunities to several of our members to be able to showcase some of the things that they're working on. We'll have a special guest who is a life coach. So there are a lot of opportunities for continuing increasing your overall mental health and wellness in addition to your physical health. Stay tuned for that, but the date is now scheduled for February 8th. March 22nd, lunch and registration tour in Annapolis. That's another thing you need to look out for. If you have an interest in participating in this, please send us an email, let us know, we'll sign you up. Also, stay tuned to our socials so you can stay informed as well. And then what's the next one? Yes, well, requesting support. I want to leave some time at the end for some other discussions, but Out for Justice is here to support the community. We have limited support, meaning monetary funds, but we want to support the best way we can, and so we do what we can. And if we can't support, a lot of times we will make sure we refer you to another organization who can provide you the support that you need. There's a few things that we offer support on. I mentioned earlier in the meeting our 4 program areas, which are legislative, advocacy programs. We talked a lot about today and how you can be active in that. Voter registration and education. Avail legal, so we are helping folks to navigate their legal cases, understanding the laws and how they impact them. And then the last one is our rapid response and resource connection. So that's where we are connecting folks to resources, providing them information about employment opportunities, stipend opportunities, mental health, facilities for like drug treatment or anything that you really need. We're happy to research it if we don't have that in-house and we don't already have a partnership. But stay tuned, go to our website and I think you put the link on the next slide, but I think it's on the next slide. Maybe it wasn't. But basically our website is where you can submit your request for assistance if you need assistance, no matter what form that is, if you need legal support, if you need job connection. And on that note, I do want to introduce Lamontre. He's from Civic Works, and so we wanted to talk a little bit about one of the opportunities that Out for Justice is partnering with you guys on. So we wanted to talk about that.
Yes, some of you all may already know about Civic Works. Pretty much we got a program where we partner with BG&E to deal with utility infrastructure. We paying folks a stipend, $200 a week. Help with transportation support. And just in case anybody want to know what utility infrastructure is, like dealing with the pipes, dealing with the poles, the ground underlayment, fiber optics wires. I will be honest. I think this is a community, right? Community, we need to be honest with one another. One of the biggest challenges that we face in our community when we trying to get people to the next step within this is the drug test. The drug test is going to be done during the interview. We try to give people time, I say to study, right? To prepare their body. And that's been one of the biggest challenges, right? And also, this program, they probably do a class like, once a month, right? And so sometimes getting people to wait that extra month, right, is one of the challenges too. But we have recognized when people get into this program and, you know, we do see them actually go on and start to produce, you know, battle within the community. And that's what we're trying to see, right? And so when I'm out there doing the community, I try to be honest, right? And let people know the shortcomings. But we're here trying to support. And I see y'all got membership and dues. I'm gonna make sure I become a member just because I love this organization so much. And yeah, y'all got that commitment from me, 100%. And as a side note, I'm also one of the young community developers in the city with a group called KIOBA, KIOBA, standing for Keeping It 100 Black Association. It's a group of over 30 Black men that decided to come together and do development within our city. We just got a contract with Lowe's Home Improvement. And very soon, I'll let y'all know, but very soon we're gonna be looking to possibly hire within the community and teach people about certain trades as well. So, you know, it's a lot of different opportunities happening within the city. I just wanted to let Out for Justice know about it because you all are doing great work and I love and support y'all.
Yeah, you can put your where they can contact you in the chat, so they can find out more information about the both organizations that you just mentioned. One other thing I want to mention is yeah, well, membership dues. I'm a member. Important. Okay. No, you can go back to that. Membership dues are $5 a month. Those are affordable for a lot of people. So you can pay that annually, which is $60 to get each year. And also to be a member of this, you want to make sure that you stay engaged. And so this is a relationship. You know, I said this to somebody the other day, and they got a little offended. This is not a one-night stand, it's not a transactional relationship. This is a long-lasting, community. So we want to make sure that we're encouraging you when you're out there getting the best benefits from the organization, and you can use your expertise, no matter what that is. And most people don't realize that they have lived experience and expertise in some area that can be beneficial to the next person. And so that's why it's important to continue to nurture the relationship. And so we ask that you commit to attending 3 Out for Justice events. And one of those can be an approved partner event, like maybe Life After Releases, so we would approve your participation or commitment to that event as one of the approved activities. And so you can find all this information. You can fill out the membership application on the website. We would get to know you a little bit more, learn about your skills and how you can be an asset and use your voice to empower the next person. So, and then the other thing I wanted to talk about is the website is out, the number 4. Oh, he's talking about you, sorry. Outforjustice.org, but you can put yours in there in a second. One thing I wanted to go back to for Ashley, sorry Ashley, not to put you on the spot, but I think I wanted to highlight, I don't know that there's on the slide, but basically the upcoming hearings this week, so focus on that. And I know you said next week we'll have everything, but no.
So we have the Christian through the 4 bills that will be heard next Thursday. There also will be the briefing on tomorrow for the Department of Corrections. So those are the upcoming things.
And there's some this week on Thursday, tomorrow, right?
That's the briefing tomorrow.
There's one on Friday, on the 27th.
There is one on Friday.
I don't have it in front of me.
I can pull it up. I'm sorry.
Okay, no worries. So, I'll give you some time to pull it up. But does anyone have any questions about anything that we talked about? And I do want to talk to. I really want anyone to email me, put my information in the chat, specifically around expungement, because I think that's the one that's on Friday. We are looking to help craft testimony or written. We'll help you prepare. And so you don't have to be scared, you don't have to be nervous. We'll help you. But we really want to hear your story, because what happens is when you're passionate about something, an event, a traumatic experience that you have gone through, that passion can turn and translate into change via the legislative process. And so it's important really to use take something that, you know, can be a negative and really turn it into a positive. So your sister, your brother, your child, you know, whoever doesn't have to go through that. And so it's really important. This expungement thing is really preventing a lot of people from being successful and, you know, getting their life back together and getting their things back on track, getting housing or getting approved or not being discriminated when it comes to applying for a rental application or mortgage, job application. Even after you get a contingent offer and they do that background check and they see all the stuff come up, you're like, man, that was 20 years ago. That's still affecting you today. All this federal consequences. And so it's important that if you don't speak up, these things continue. So yes, change is not overnight, but you know, we are chipping away at this unfair, oppressive system. So please email me, Shawna at Alpha Justice, or get info at Alpha Justice. If you would be willing, you can email Chris too, whomever, anybody have a email address that you can find. Email us and let us know as soon as possible so we can help prepare for the upcoming hearing. So
Dewan, I want to circle back. The hearing, the corrections hearing is on Friday, and there's a youth justice bill on Thursday that is for the Delegate Acevero's bill dealing with the interrogation of minors.
It's okay. We got babies here. We are very family friendly and kid friendly here. So she wanted to have her voice heard.
Yes, I'm sorry, y'all.
Anybody in the virtual world with a type of question or unmuted to ask a question? Anyone want to talk about a topic or an issue that they're currently facing and they want to see out for justice? Either provide information to like a community not event, but we can make a membership meeting topic around that. What are some issues that you're facing or you want to see legislation changed about? Ashley.
I just want to remind people that if you have had some challenges with the expungement and you are interested in testifying, please don't wait until next week. We're going to remind you next Wednesday. But if as soon as possible, please send an email so that we can prep you and get you ready for Thursday.
I'm going to ask you to get out.
I have a question. What about pardons?
Pardon.
Yes. So after you give your time, right? And they say be a productive citizen, right? And your actions match that of a productive or whatever they quote unquote say as a productive citizen, right? How will we go about getting the pardon?
I really wish that I could answer that question, but I do not have enough information on that process. And what we can do is bring that answer back next Wednesday. I'm sorry, I know what I know and I know what I don't know.
Can we manifest an education workshop for youth at Be More Green?
Can we manifest? Yes.
Hey, Shawna.
Shawna.
You said you want to go to the education workshop. Yes. Yeah, what are some, so another thing is we have, and then one of the things that they posted in the chat earlier was a past lawyer up that we did. Past lawyer up that was around expungement, but lawyer up is a ongoing, and we're gonna bring it back if you know, especially around topics that people care about. But the bottom line is it is focused on legal issues, but it's also focused from the perspective of an attorney, like someone actually practicing law, the academic perspective, like what are people learning and they don't around these topics, and how does that relate to how it shows up in a practice setting, and how us as members, how do we perceive or receive that particular issue. So lawyer will calculate every month, and if you can send the topic that you care most about, send them to us. We will make sure that we either use it in the lawyer up or we use it in a membership meeting, right? It may not be something that we have expertise on, but we can partner with our many partners and educate ourselves as well. So we don't know everything, but we are willing to learn so that we can educate anyone else. So Shawna, I think that's a great suggestion. And she was focused on you too. Okay, for sure.
I'll make a manifestation too.
Manifest it all.
I wanna I got the resources right now. I wanna manifest sort of like a business workshop to help your entrepreneur workshop for those who may already be in business or maybe thinking about starting the business, right? And we can pair them up with different mentors as well as we thinking about different businesses. I want to talk to you all about what would that look like, and you know, if y'all have members or know people who have an interest in that. Free, completely free.
I'm definitely down to say, we always want to pay, we try to, as hard as we can to patron they can't hear me. Oh, we try as hard as possible to patron individuals who are directly impacted, but also that look like us. And so I'm definitely down for that, right? As much as possible, we want to support our own. It's hard to keep the dollars in our community. So if we learn and educate ourselves around doing that, we can continue to keep our money longer, or at least in our own community. So yeah, I'm down for that. Let's manifest that.
It is already, it can be done. I just need to figure out who I need to talk to.
Business plan, let's put that together. John Dick Kelton.
There you go. There you go.
Anyone else got anything they want to add or suggest in the chat?
Peace, love, and hair grease. Can you guys hear me? Shawna Divine here. Hi, guys. So another suggestion I had when I heard Lamontre mention that he was going to focus on some, I think I heard him say youth entrepreneurship programs and financial programs. Perhaps you could. Yes, this is Shawna Divine. I'm sitting here in Baltimore Green, but upstairs in a space for my kids is launching a mentorship program tomorrow for boys and girls. The girls program was today and Wednesday, and the boys will be tomorrow. But I was wondering how, if you guys could reach out and connect and coordinate with what we have in place here at the space, and attempt to reach as many youth as possible, because a lot of youth in our city, we look at Murder Inc. every single day. Like just now, I was scrolling while I'm on this meeting, and I just got back off of there because a 15-year-old just got murdered, and this is happening every single day. And this is why, you know, everybody knows I have sons. Now, my last born son has been impacted by the system because he got in wrong company, but not just about him, about all these young boys that I see every single day. We got a lot of programs for girls, but the programs we got in the city for the young men, or the youth in the age bracket of about 13 to 24, is like, it's sports and some of the things that they're not interested in. But how can we collaborate and manifest this community really catering to these boys and taking preventative measures before they even get to that point of being engaged with the legal justice system? And for the ones that are already impacted and are already in the system and have their names down at DJS, or, you know, how do we reach them? What can we do?
Yeah, let me chat too. Can you hear me?
What ways can we strategize and connect and come together as you know, with all of the entities that are in this space right now, and you know what's going on in the city right now? How can we do that? How can Out for Justice link and collaborate with these people, especially over here for my kids? Because this is zone 17 right here. Down the street is zone 23. We know this is the trenches, and I see these children walk past the store every day. Some of them I get to pull in. I mean, even my own child, you know. So that's a grave concern to me about the condition of the youth in this city that's been impacted by the legal justice system.
So one of the coalitions. Can you hear me? Okay, so one of the coalitions that Out for Justice has put up is the Reimagine Youth Justice Coalition. And so I have to check and see like if we have something specifically set up coming up for that. But I think what could be a great idea is to come and do maybe like a town hall and talk about what can Out for Justice do, what can the other community organizations partner together and support our youth and positive and reinforcement and doing great things, whether it's entrepreneurship, trade, whatever it is. And so can you also can you drop the link or drop the flyer for the information for tomorrow for the women? Was it the women or the boys tomorrow, or the girls or the boys? But yeah, so we always want to support our youth and encourage them. And so we also know that they have a voice too, and they're impacted by the justice system, unfortunately, in increasing rates. And so hearing from them, hearing what their issues are that may be different from us as adults, and elevating their voices. What is it that they want to do? Because I think we always, especially as a directly impacted organization, we try to use our voice to be the face of the changes that impact us. So us not being used, I think it's important for us to make sure that we use their voice and let them determine what they want to see and how they want to see that, and then help them to achieve those goals so that we're not, doing the same thing that we sort of frown upon in other realms. So I hope somebody heard that. Okay, cool. But yeah, so maybe that's the thing. In my mind, it's like town hall or something where we're actually hearing from them. Last year we did have the youth lobby battle where we did get to hear from some youth about how they had been in contact with the criminal legal system and how that had impacted them, the traumas that it caused, and so it's really important that we do that and not overlook them. So if anyone else has any ideas about how we can do that and promote their voices, I am totally open to hear that. And so, all right, so no one else has anything. Let's see what else.
Tell her she's talking.
If you're talking, you're muted. We cannot hear you. Jonathan, you got a voice too. I'm trying to empower you with unusual voice. You said tell her she's muted. All right, so if no one else has anything, I'm going to try to get this uploaded to our YouTube channel. Give me a week because it's going to take a while. But if you need the link and you want to see this before next week, I will send you the recording, the Zoom recording. If you need it before next week, if you want to prepare for any legislation that's coming up this week or next week. So feel free to email me and I will give you that link so you can watch it. And I look forward to seeing you guys at our next advocacy committee meeting, which is going to be the third Wednesday of next month in February. And the last Wednesday of the month is our membership meeting. And so we will publish that and send it out to our newsletter, our monthly calendar, and some other great things that we have coming up. So look out for that. And I'm going to give you guys some time back, man. So if you have any questions, you can email them or contact any of the people who share their email address if you want to contact them directly. Thank you so much for coming and participating.
Good night.
In something. Thank you. Hey, bye.
Yes, some of you all may already know about Civic Work. Pretty much we got a program where we partner with BG&E to deal with utility infrastructure. We paying folks a stipend, $200 a week, help with transportation support. And just in case anybody want to know what utility infrastructure is, like dealing with the pipes, dealing with the poles, the ground underlayment, fiber optics wires. I will be honest. I think this is a community, right? Community meeting. We need to be honest with one another. One of the biggest challenges that we face in our community when we trying to get people to the next step within this is the drug test. The drug test is going to be done during the interview. We try to give people time, I say to study, right? To prepare their body. And that's been one of the biggest challenges, right? And also, this program, they probably do a class like, once a month, right? And so sometimes getting people to wait that extra month, right, is one of the challenges too. But we have recognized when people get into this program and, we do see them actually go on and start to produce, battle within the community. And that's what we're trying to see, right? And so when I'm out there doing the community, I try to be honest, right? And let people know the shortcomings. But we're here trying to support. And I see y'all got membership and dues. I'm gonna make sure I become a member just because I love this organization so much. And yeah, y'all got that commitment from me, 100%. And as a side note, I'm also I'm also one of the young community developers in the city with a group called KIOBA, KIOBA, standing for Keeping It 100 Black Association. It's a group of over 30 Black men that decided to come together and do development within our city. We just got a contract with Lowe's Home Improvement. And very soon, I'll let y'all know, but very soon we're gonna be looking to possibly hire within the community and teach people about certain trades as well. So, you know, it's a lot of different opportunities happening within the city. I just wanted to let Out for Justice know about it because you all are doing great work and I love and support y'all.
Yeah, you can put your where they can contact you in the chat, so they can find out more information about the both organizations that you just mentioned. One other thing I want to mention is yeah, well, membership dues. I'm a member. Important. No, you can go back to that. Membership dues are $5 a month. Those are affordable for a lot of people. So you can pay that annually, which is $60 to pay each year. And also to be a member of this, you want to make sure that you stay engaged. And so this is a relationship. You know, I said this to somebody the other day, maybe a little offended. This is not a one-night stand, it's not a transactional relationship. This is a long-lasting, community. So we want to make sure that we're encouraging you when you are getting the best benefits from the organization, and you can use your expertise, no matter what that is. And most people don't realize that we have lived experience and expertise in some area that can be beneficial to the next person. And so that's why it's important to continue to nurture the relationship. And so we ask that you commit to attending 3 Out for Justice events. And one of those can be an approved partner event, like maybe Life After Releases. So we would approve your participation or commitment to that event as one of the approved activities. And so you can find all this information. You can fill out the membership application on the website. We would get to know you a little bit more, learn about your skills and how you can be an asset and use your voice to empower the next person. So, and then the other thing I wanted to talk about is the website is out, the number 4. Oh, he's talking about you, sorry. Outforjustice.org, but you can put yours in there in a second. One thing I wanted to go back to for Ashley, sorry Ashley, not to put you on the spot, but I think I wanted to highlight, I don't know that there's on the slide, but basically the upcoming hearings this week, so focus on that. And I know you said next week we'll have everything, but no.
So we have the Chris went through the 4 bills that will be heard next Thursday. There also will be the briefing on tomorrow for the Department of Corrections. So those are the upcoming things.
So there's some this week on Thursday, tomorrow, right?
That's the briefing tomorrow.
There's one on Friday, on the 27th.
There is one on Friday.
I don't have it in front of me.
I can pull it up. I'm sorry.
Okay, no worries. So, I'll give you some time to pull it up. But does anyone have any questions about anything that we talked about? And I do want to talk to. I really want anyone to email me. Put my information in the chat, specifically around expungement, because I think that's the one that's on Friday. We are looking to help craft testimony or written. We'll help you prepare. And so you don't have to be scared, you don't have to be nervous. We'll help you. But we really want to hear your story, because what happens is when you're passionate about something, an event, a traumatic experience that you have gone through, that passion can turn and translate into change via the legislative process. And so it's important really to take something that can be a negative and really turn it into a positive. So your sister, your brother, your child, whoever doesn't have to go through that. And so it's really important. This expungement thing is really preventing a lot of people from being successful in, getting their life back together and getting their things back on track, getting housing, getting approved or not being discriminated when it comes to applying for a rental application or mortgage, job application. Even after you get a contingent offer and they do that background check and they see all the stuff come up, you're like, man, that was 20 years ago. That's still affecting you today. All of this federal consequences. And so it's important that if you don't speak up, these things continue. So yes, change is not overnight, but we are chipping away at this unfair, oppressive system. So please email me Dewan at Alfred Justice or get info at Alfred Justice. If you would be willing, you can email Chris to whomever, anybody have a email address that you can find. Email us and let us know as soon as possible so we can help prepare for the upcoming hearing.
So Dewan, I want to circle back. The hearing, the corrections hearing is on Friday, and there's a youth justice bill on Thursday that is for the Delegate Acevero's bill dealing with the interrogation of minors.
It's okay. We got babies here. We are very family friendly and kid friendly here. So she wanted to have her voice heard.
Yes, I'm sorry, I was good.
Anybody in the virtual world with a type of question or unmute and ask a question? No questions. Nobody's got any questions? Anyone want to talk about a topic or an issue that they're currently facing and they want to see out for justice? Either provide information, do like a community not event, but we can make a membership meeting topic around that. What are some issues that you're facing or you want to see legislation changed about? Ashley.
I just want to remind people that if you have had some challenges with the expungement and you are interested in testifying, please don't wait until next week. We're going to remind you next Wednesday. But if as soon as possible, please send an email so that we can prep you and get you ready for Thursday.
I'm going to add email address and then get out this.
I have a question. What about pardons?
Pardon? Oh, pardon.
Pardon.
Oh,
Yes. So after you give your time, right? And they say be a productive citizen, right? And your actions match that of a productive or whatever they quote unquote say as a productive citizen, right? How will we go about getting the pardon?
I really wish that I could answer that question, but I do not have enough information on that process. And what we can do is bring that answer back next Wednesday. I'm sorry, I know what I know and I know what I don't know.
Can we manifest a education workshop for youth at Be More Green?
Can we manifest? Yes.
hey, Shawna.
Shawna.
You said you want to manifest the education workshop. Yes. Yeah, what are some, so another thing is we have, and then one of the things that they posted in the chat earlier was a past lawyer that we did.
I'm sorry, I'm taking her.
Past lawyer up that was around expungement, but lawyer up is a ongoing and we're gonna bring it back if especially around topics that people care about. But the bottom line is it is focused on legal issues, but it's also focused from the perspective of an attorney, like someone actually practicing law, the academic perspective, like what are people learning and they don't around these topics, and how does that relate to how it shows up in a practice setting, and how us as members, how do we perceive or receive that particular issue. So lawyer will calculate every month, and if you can send the topics that you care most about, send them to us. We will make sure that we either use it in the lawyer up or we use it in a membership meeting, right? But it may not be something that we have expertise on, but we can partner with our many partners and educate ourselves as well. So we don't know everything, but we are willing to learn so that we can educate anyone else. So Shawna, I think that's a great suggestion. And she was focused on you too. Okay, for sure.
I'll make a manifestation too.
Manifest it all.
I wanna I got the resources right now. I wanna manifest sort of like a business workshop to help your entrepreneur workshop for those who may already be in business or maybe thinking about starting a business, right? And we can pair them up with different mentors as well as we thinking about different businesses. So I want to talk to you all about what would that look like, and if y'all have members or know people that have an interest in that, free, completely free.
I don't know if they couldn't hear me or was it Ashley they couldn't hear. I'm not sure, but. Okay, I'm definitely down to say. We always want to pay, we try to, as hard as we can to patron oh, they can't hear me. Oh, we try as hard as possible to patron individuals who, are directly impacted, but also that look like us. And so, I'm definitely down for that, right? As much as possible, we want to support our own. It's hard to keep the dollars in our community, so.
Yep.
If we learn and educate ourselves around doing that, we can continue to keep our money longer, or at least in our own community. So, yeah, I'm down for that. Let's manifest that.
It can be done.
It's
I
done.
just need to figure out who I need to talk to.
Business plan, let's put that together. I'm making Kelton.
There you go. There you go.
Anyone else got anything they want to add or suggest in the chat? I'm you. Is there, I think I'm mute, because we couldn't hear them talking earlier. They might have been talking and we just talking over.
No,
Oh, okay. All right.
Peace, love and hair grease. Can you guys hear me? Shawna Divine here. Hi guys. So another suggestion I had when I heard Lamontre mention that he was going to focus on some, I think I heard him say youth entrepreneurship programs and financial programs. Perhaps you could. Yes, this is Shawna Divine. I'm sitting here in Baltimore Green, but upstairs in the space for my kids is launching a mentorship program tomorrow for boys and girls. The girls program was today and Wednesday, and the boys will be tomorrow. But I was wondering how if you guys could reach out and connect and coordinate with what we have in place here at the space and attempt to reach as many youth as possible, because a lot of youth in our city, we look at Murder Inc. every single day. Like just now, I was scrolling while I'm on this meeting and I just got back off of there because a 15-year-old just got murdered, and this is happening every single day. And this is why, everybody knows I have sons. Now, my last born son has been impacted by the system because he got in wrong company, but not just about him, about all these young boys that I see every single day. We got a lot of programs for girls, but the programs we got in the city for the young men, or the youth in the age bracket of about 13 to 24, is like it's sports and some of the things that they're not interested in. But how can we collaborate and manifest this community really catering to these boys and taking preventative measures before they even get to that point of being engaged with the legal justice system? And for the ones that are already impacted and are already in the system and have their names down at DJS, or how do we reach them? What can we do?
Yeah, let me chat too. Can you hear me?
What ways can we strategize and connect and come together as with all of the entities that are in this space right now, and what's going on in the city right now? How can we do that? How can Out for Justice link and collaborate with these people, especially over here for my kids? Because this is zone 17 right here. Down the street is zone 23. We know this is the trenches, and I see these children walk past the store every day. Some of them I get to pull in. I mean, even my own child, so that's a grave concern to me about the condition of the youth in this city that's been impacted by the legal justice system.
So one of the coalitions. Can you hear me? Okay, so one of the coalitions that Out for Justice has put up is the Reimagine Youth Justice Coalition. And so I have to check and see like if we have something specifically set up coming up for that. But I think what could be a great idea is to come and do maybe like a town hall and talk about what can Out for Justice do, what can the other community organizations partner together and support our youth and positive and reinforcement and doing great things, whether it's entrepreneurship, trade, whatever it is. And so can you also can you drop the link or drop the flyer for the information for tomorrow for the women? Was it the women or the boys tomorrow, or the girls or the boys? So I don't know. Sean, can you hear me? I don't know. But yeah, so we always want to support our youth and encourage them. And so we also know that they have a voice too, and they're impacted by the justice system, unfortunately, in increasing rates. And so hearing from them, hearing what their issues are that may be different from us as adults, and elevating their voices. What is it that they want to do? Because I think we always, especially as a directly impacted organization, we try to use our voice to be the face of the changes that impact us. So us not being used, I think it's important for us to make sure that we use their voice and let them determine what they want to see and how they want to see that, and then help them to achieve those goals so that we're not doing the same thing that we sort of frown upon in other realms. So I hope somebody heard that. Okay. But yeah, so maybe that's the thing. In my mind, it's like town hall or something where we're actually hearing from them. Last year we did have the youth lobby battle where we did get to hear from some youth about how they had been in contact with the criminal legal system and how that had impacted them, the traumas that it caused, and so it's really important that we do that and not overlook them. So if anyone else has any ideas about how we can do that and promote their voices, I am totally open to hear that. And so all right, so no one else has anything. Let's see what else.
Tell her she's talking.
If you're talking, you're muted. We cannot hear you. Shawna, you got a voice too. I'm trying to empower you with unusual voice. You said tell her she's muted. Can you hear somebody talking? Oh, all right, so if no one else has anything, I'm going to try to get this uploaded to our YouTube channel. Give me a week because it's going to take a while. But if you need the link and you want to see this before next week, I will send you the recording, the Zoom recording. If you need it before next week, if you want to prepare for any legislation that's coming up this week or next week. So feel free to email me and I will give you that link so you can watch it. And I look forward to seeing you guys at our next advocacy committee meeting, which is going to be the third Wednesday of next month in February. And the last Wednesday of the month is our membership meeting. And so we will publish that and send it out to our newsletter, our monthly calendar, and some other great things that we have coming up. So look out for that. And I'm going to give you guys some time back, man. So if you have any questions, you can email them or contact any of the people who share their email address if you want to contact them directly. Thank you so much for coming and participating.
Good night.
Something. Thank you. Hey, bye.